Hey everybody, welcome to Conquest of Ea, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can tell based off the title, we're going to be talking about Para Bellum today and how I think that their business model is just way more, I guess refreshing is the word I'm going to use, than Games Workshop's. Games Workshop is obviously the biggest miniature wargaming company out there, just based off their sales, how it's just exponentially grown year by year, and just they've exploded with the release of 9th edition. Even when 8th edition came out, I would argue that's when that first explosion happened. They really got back in touch with the hobby roots of what people wanted. 9th edition came out, that was still great. And then I played all through 8th and 9th. Played tournaments, loved it. But then you just get a little burnt out, I guess is the right word, on the release schedule. And the rules release schedule as well can burn a player out. So GW, I'm sure if any of you play GW products, you know this. For anyone who doesn't, for their competitive rules like Mission Pack, they have a 3-month life cycle right now. So every 3 months they come out with a new Mission Pack or a new rules update that kind of tweaks the rules. And while 3 months I feel like is fine, that's a good standard of time where you can figure out, especially with a game that's as big as like 40K with how many large events there are, you definitely have enough data to know like what needs changed. But the downside is GW does it in a way that's just archaic, I guess we'll call it. It's the most cumbersome way that I think a large company with their amount of resources could have decided to do it. And it's because they've decided to chain themselves to the physical print books that they never print enough of, so people just end up using Wahapedia or whatever else out there to get the books, because like you physically can't buy like the Arcs of Omen books when they come out because everybody purchases them right up. And when you have those alternatives, you're just going to use that. Another downside that this creates for Games Workshop is it's impossible to get new players into the game right now. This will be solved with the release of 10th edition, so you can get a whole crop of new players in there, but as the codexes start coming out for that and the inevitable codex creep happens, the new rules get piled on, then you'll have less and less a chance to introduce those people. And with this, breakneck pace of rules releases and rules updates, I'm going to take a guess and say that 10th edition is going to lose way more players than 8th or 9th. Just because when new people come into the hobby and they buy an army, it's very expensive. Not that many people buy, go to a game shop and buy their entire army in one go. So they buy a little here, a little there, and they build it up. But at the time they start buying that army, to the time that they're done, those rules could be, not completely different, very different, and some of the units just won't do what they thought they were going to do. Maybe they thought they were going to have a really cool combo they could pull off that gets nerfed. Maybe they think certain points are a certain way and then they're not, and that can now all happen in the span of 3 months, 6 months, extremely fast. And a normal hobbyist out there, who's not chasing the meta and like not of the people that aren't at the top of the ranks or switching their armies to what's really, really good, they don't have the resources available to have everything in the collection that next weekend. So it can be a little feels bad, and I've heard it called chasing the GW dragon, right? Like Drakari's good one week and then they get nerfed and you got to switch to something else so you can be competitive. But that's enough ragging on GW. Like I said, I played in a major last weekend for 40K. The GW models are still some of the best in the business. It's just that the way that they conduct their sales model is predatory, in a word. it really focuses on people's fear of missing out, and that is why people buy up so much of their stuff. And from a bottom line perspective, it's all obviously extremely successful. They make a lot of money, but for the regular hobbyist, they can kind of get people burned out on miniature wargaming if that's all you know. So in a more positive light, we'll talk about how Para Bellum has been doing it recently and how I think it's just should be the model for a wargame company that wants to grow and be on the scene and really interact with their customers in a positive way. So Para Bellum, I wasn't really around when the game first came out. I saw the models. I have some of the old original Men at Arms models, and I'll be honest, those models are not the greatest. They're not the worst miniatures I've ever put together, but now they've come so far from where they were from that. Like, I would say Para Bellum's miniatures are the best fantasy miniatures on the market out there. They're a little upscaled. The newer ones, like the Old Dominion that I was actually just building not too long ago, are super, super easy to put together. They really are just amazing plastic sculpts. And Para Bellum still uses some resin miniatures for characters and officers in some larger artisan series. And it's the best resin miniatures I've bought from any game company, including Games Workshop. But where Para Bellum really got me and really sold me on the game was their engagement with the community. It was clear that that was extremely important to them, that they engage with their community and listen to their community feedback. And I noticed that right away when I went on their website. I was looking at the rules. The lore was really, really awesome. I liked the models, and I was looking for a rank and flank fantasy wargame to play to kind of replace Warhammer Fantasy. That there's not really a good alternative out there, in my opinion. And I see that all of the rules are online completely for free, full rulebook, full army rules. They have an app that at that time it was just the web app, but now it's an actually application you can use on your phone. Full army builder for free. It actually works, and I would rather use that than any open source thing that's out there, as opposed to the GW1 and Battlescribe. This is Para Bellum's website. I'll have a link to it down below. And to access all their free rules and everything like that, obviously you can go to the eShop if you want to buy some models. There's a link for that down below as well. But we're just going to take a look at the rules right now. You go to Game, Rules and FAQ. So they have Last Argument of Kings and First Blood. First Blood is their skirmish game, which is actually a really, really awesome skirmish game, and you could have plenty of tactical and strategic depth just playing that with a few models. But I'm going to look at the Last Argument, which is their full mass battle rank and flank game. As you can see, they have all the core rules when they're updated, the printer-friendly rules, and these are the full rules to the game. There's not additional rules purchases or anything like that. This is the entire rulebook in PDF form. And then they also have translations below it in a bunch of different languages, in case you speak any of these. And they have the full army list for the factions as well. And then it'll show when they were updated. And again, these are the full army lists. There's not additional army lists somewhere else. There's not additional battalions, we'll call them, or something that you could buy to insert into the game to have better units or anything like that. This is, if you play 100 Kingdoms, this is the units you can take. And as well with any games, they have their FAQ and erratas. So this is where you're going to come to find all the rules, but then you also get the army builder here for First Blood or Last Argument of Kings, and you can just browse the factions if you'd like to read some of the lore and view the factions. We'll look at the 100 Kingdoms units and all of their options, or we can go back. Nope, we don't want to switch. That's how you switch between Conquest and First Blood. We can go black, and Prepare for War is how you actually build the army list for 100 Kingdoms. We're going to label it 100K for 100 Kingdoms, set the points value, go to war. And the game is separated by war bands led by a character. And you add the regiments here, and as you can see, all the options are available. You can print this out, save as a PDF, and it looks the exact same as this for the app on your phone, which is pretty awesome. And if anybody's looking to get into Conquest, or you need some additional Conquest models because those updates for the rules are coming that you'll be able to see for free over on Para Bellum's website. If you use the link below in the video description to go over to Para Bellum's eShop, and at checkout use the code CONQUESTOFAEA, you'll get 10% off your order, and I'll get a small kickback because I am an affiliate of Para Bellum. I really appreciate if you are planning to buy Conquest models, if you just go ahead and use the link when you do that. It helps me out, get a little financial support for making the videos, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. And because Para Bellum has embraced this open source rules model, they can make changes at about the same pace as GW or a little faster even. For example, they just brought out the 2.0 release of First Blood and Last Argument of Kings Last Argument is about to have more army changes, and some of the rulebook changes already came out. But that's fine. I mean, they saw after 2.0 released into the wild, into the player base, that they wanted to change some things, and because the balance wasn't right where they wanted it, they were very open and honest about, hey, this is coming. They're actually in the Para Bellum Discord. The creators of the game and people that work at the company are in the Discord every day, responding to just random Discord messages from people everywhere, ranging from rules questions to, hey, when are the army rules updates coming, which is what they're getting asked a lot now. They can release things like that because it's just all digital for free, and they've decided to have their model like that so they can have the most balanced game possible with little tweaks and changes. And while, yes, this still is going to cause some, heartburn and headache from players who, anytime you have models and the rules aren't as good as when you bought them, or, you thought they were going to be very, very good, the Para Bellum way to do it feels way better than, I've taken the time to build this whole army and it has changed, where that's not really the case here. So if you're looking for a rank and flank miniature game out there, or even a smaller skirmish game like Conquest First Blood, I highly, highly encourage you to check out Para Bellum's website, look at their lore, look at all the free rules to see if it's a game that you would be interested in. You'll be able to have all the information before you make the decision to jump in and buy anything. You'll have all the rules, you'll have all the army rules, and you'll have the app to build army lists before you make any purchases. But I can definitely guarantee if you are looking for that rank and flank game to fill the void that maybe you're missing from the old Warhammer Fantasy days, this definitely is the game for you. I know for me, I tried 9th Age, and it's just a little too cumbersome. It's a little too crunchy for me. The movement and charging in Conquest is way more intuitive. Obviously, that means it needs a little bit of wiggle room, obviously, when you're playing the game, but it allows for smoother gameplay with those blocks of regiments, and I really, really enjoy that, and I really, really enjoy the world Para Bellum has created with the lore around the game as well. So I hope if you're looking for another game out there to play, you check out Para Bellum's Conquest, and let me know in the comments if you have played it or are planning to. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.